Hello again. Welcome to my Thursday night live. You might have noticed we've moved from Tuesdays to Thursdays. That's simply because we film a few shows and we thought we might as well do them all in one evening. So sorry for the inconvenience if you were expecting something on Tuesday. We're now on Thursdays. And again, I apologise for my hair. I'm having a bad hair day. I thought it'd be a great idea to gel it back, but I just don't know what I'm doing, and I've made it even worse. So, forgive me. Today, I want to talk about keeping customers and getting referrals from customers. It's all about discipline. It's all about measurement, and it just means you've got to do something. So we're now stepping out of our comfort zone to actually start doing things. So before I go into that, I'd like to ask you, what's been your biggest challenge this week? Okay. If you constantly ask yourself what challenges I've got coming up, you can start preparing for them. So I just thought I'd give you that little tip. And interestingly, I was talking to one of our coaches this morning, Vicky. Hi, Vicky. And Vicky was telling me all about the different love languages where you speak to people and they hear different things. But if you get the right language, if you get the right temperament, you get the right words, then they begin to hear you. And that makes relationships so much better, especially in business. You can probably guess that everybody at Accounts Direct and myself all love working with coaches, because we all believe that you don't become a top businessman or woman or sports professional or anything without some coaching. So on that note, I'd like to welcome our two of our new coaches. One of them is Paul Booth, who specialises in SEO and driving traffic to your websites, and the other gentleman is called Ches, who is a stress management counsellor. So anybody out there suffering with a bit of stress or anxiety, we've now got somebody in our little team that can have a chat with you. So we are trying. Let me just get back to what I was saying. Business is about many things, but one of the things that business is particularly about is measurement. So when we have our sales teams, a lot of marketing experts will say that something like 80% of sales activity is measurement. So, does that work? Does that work? Does that work? How do we know unless we're measuring statistics? And how do we get statistics unless we record data? Now, one of the terms, I've got 32 pages of notes that I've made. So you're thinking 32 pages, gosh, but it shows preparation. So even if it's not that great, it shows preparation, and it's better than it would have been without preparation. But when it comes to developing a business and making a business better, it's so much better to have existing clients buying more often than having new clients and looking for new clients and customers all the time. Obviously, new clients is always good, but it's also easier and just as good to develop relationships with existing clients, because remember, they already know you, they already know who you are, what you do, and despite everything, they still buy off you. So clearly you're doing something they like, but we need to find out what it is that they like so we can enhance it. So what do customers truly want from you is often a question that goes that we miss. Nobody asks that question. So we're gonna look at ways of gathering that information, and this is my 32 pages of notes. 31 left because I've already gone through one. You might not know, looking at me now, but many years ago I actually ran a marathon. I ran a marathon, and I completed the marathon. And I came to the conclusion that the halfway point of a marathon is 22 miles. No, I've never said I'm a great accountant. Carl was at it, because you think, well, a marathon is 26 miles, so surely the halfway mark is 13 miles. Not 22 miles. The point I'm making is that it takes as much energy to run the last 4 miles as it does to run the first 22 miles. Because you're flagging by that point, and you've got to have that extra reserves of energy to finish the marathon. So comparing that to customers, winning the client in the first place is the first 22 miles, but keeping them is the last 4 miles. So the halfway point is not a score of 5 out of 10, but 8 out of 10. So I think you get my meaning, that you've got to work very, very hard to keep the client, but the rewards are better keeping the client in the last 4 miles than winning them in the first 22 miles. It's an easier run, the first 22, but it's a more rewarding run, the last 4 miles. And it's when most people give up, you know, at least in the experience when I was running a marathon. By the way, I did it in 3 hours, just in case you wanted to know, which is pretty good. But I was flagging at the end, and all of a sudden I got an extra boost. So, you know, and then what I've done since then, because I ran the marathon 35 years ago, and I'm still recovering from it. So there we go. But it does seem self-evident that companies should try and satisfy the customers. They should try and look after them. Yeah, I mean, it's self-evident that happy customers, people that you actually do the job for, tend to return, buy more, tell other people, and sometimes, I think I mentioned this before, they will pay a premium just for the privilege of doing business with someone they can trust. So do bear that in mind. I mean, there's a lot of statistics bandied around that suggest the cost of keeping keeping a customer is about 1/10 of winning a new one. And it does make sense that. So if you do have a customer, client, do try and keep hold of them. You know, it is worth it. So how do we know? And this is really what I want to talk about. And this is the accountant in me coming out. Is measuring. How do you tell? How can you know that a customer is happy with you? You know, why do they stay with you? I mean, hopefully it's not because there's nobody else around or you're just the first person they saw. Hopefully they're coming back to you because they do trust you and rely on whatever it is you're selling them. You know, if you go and buy a pack of crisps from your local newsagent, you'd rather think that the date stamp hadn't run out 2 days ago. So let's hope it's about all the right reasons. Now, you know, looking at it from the customer's point of view, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, when you buy a product, you know, and everything's right, you don't jump up and down in joy saying, hey, this does everything I hoped it would do. This is exactly right. You sort of expect it to be right. So people complain or people don't like what you've done if the things don't live up to expectations. So hype can be very disappointing. Just live up to the expectations and just do what you say you're going to do. You know, if the product's no good and the customer does complain, then put it right. That's all we ever do. We put it right. But in the main, just remember that a customer buys off you, whether they want their hair doing, they buy a pint from your pub, or they buy something from your eBay shop or your website, or they buy a pair of trousers. They expect it to come to actually perform what they expect it to do. I mean, that's what we paid our money for. But and remember, it becomes more difficult today because standards have grown like crazy. I mean, I was just talking before about my grandma many years ago, and even my mum, who used to say, well, you know, God, your kids are so spoiled because I only had one dress in my wardrobe. I had my school uniform and one dress. And I think people expect more now. I think that there's so many more products available to you, so much more competition out there, so many reasons why they don't have to buy it off you because they can get it anywhere. So unless you really do have something unique, there's always variations. And interestingly, people think that they've got no competition, but they do have competition. It might not be that it's someone selling the identical belt that you've just bought, but there might be braces. There might be a different type of belt. There might be trousers that don't need a belt. So even if it's not a direct competition, there's competition out there. So don't forget that. And what you've got to differentiate yourself with is why people buy from you rather than. So what's your USP? And a lot of people will say it's service, because people appreciate service. People will pay a little bit more of a premium if they're getting the service and the follow-up and you tailor what your customer wants. You know, you don't just say that I've got a rack of belts again, they're all one size, they're all one colour, and expect customers to be happy with that. Maybe my grandmother's day, maybe when my mum was a kid, okay, but nowadays people expect a lot more because there is a lot more variety. You know, and again, people live much more stressful lives today, so they can't be doing with bad service and bad products. You know, I know if if I get something from a shop and it turns out not to be as expected, I'm not just uptight because I've the product's not what I thought it would be. That's okay, that happens. I'm more uptight because I now got to drag back out, drive to where the shop is, park the car, go in, and start queuing up again and saying this isn't what I bought. And the stress of maybe having an argument with somebody because you know, and then even if customers aren't completely satisfied with what you've done, you know, it doesn't mean to say that they won't go somewhere else, because we need to know why they're buying off you in the first place. So you know, I've got a hairdresser, a barber that does my hair, and I go to him all the time. I can't at the moment because of COVID, but once it's back, I'll probably go to the same guy again. Not because I think he's the best barber in the world, but because he talks to me at a level that I can sort of get. You know, basically he doesn't talk much because I'd just rather just close my eyes and go to sleep and let him wake me up when he's finished. Now, there are some industries that have a direct contact with their customers, like the barber. He knows me, he cuts my hair, I've been going to him for years, so he's got his finger on the pulse with what I like, what I don't like, and you know, but you can't always rely on people just to tell you this. You know, I mean, do you really think that the guy that buys a Porsche buys it because of its technical excellence? No, I didn't think so either. So what do we do? How do we find out what customers want from you? What pleases them? What brings them back? I mean, we can get a good instinct for it, and we can feel, yeah, I think I know why he comes, but it might be more because you think, yeah, that's what you think, and the fact that he keeps coming back, it proves you're right. Maybe that's true, but maybe you could get more. Maybe you get more referrals. Maybe you could sell him a higher product. Maybe you can give him fries with that. You know. So for this reason, we do need to start measuring things. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to start developing a customer satisfaction program, and that starts with finding out why people are buying from you. So a customer survey. Surveys provide statistics that show where attention is required. So we need commitment behind this, because it's not a 2-minute job. You know, sometimes we can do some quick fixes by having a chat with someone, but we want to get into these chats before we have a complaint. So sometimes you need to make major changes, and maybe sometimes where you're losing ground is more serious than you realised. A lot of customer satisfaction starts going south when staff don't really give a smiley face. I always say, if you're going to have people in sales, give them good-natured, happy people, not miseries like me. But you know, sometimes you do need to maybe look at staff, maybe even look at yourself. Maybe even say, are you a bit dour? Are you not really giving the service you want? Are you one of these mechanics that can't fix that, and you think, oh God, can't I just go to someone that says, you know? I mean, years ago, I used to go to this mechanic when I was younger, and he used to say that my car keeps breaking down because I'm a really bad driver, and I abuse the car. And I said to him, well, you know what, maybe that's true, but my driving is your beer money. Oh, anyway, but that's just a little story for you. Not just surveys, but responding to customer comments, and you do take note of what they say. And I know, just going back to customer comments, we have a lot of comments going on online, on Google Notes, and all sorts of things, and you tend to see people being negative. Some of it's sabotage, some of it's because people can only be bothered to leave notes when they get riled up, and sometimes it's very petty, but they've got the force of God on their side. So because you might have shortchanged them by 10 pence or something, but they are important. But a lot of people, you need to address these things if it's negative. But if you find out what customers want, you'll tend to have less. They call it less customer churn. That means less customers moving away. Any survey should be designed to bring out a better financial result. And what we're looking for is to charge premium prices, and not just put the prices up, but give people more value so that they want to pay more. So we need to know what they're looking for. It gives us a stronger brand, happier reputation, and because staff are engaging with clients and customers more, that they tend to be happier. There's always a cost to doing any sort of market research or anything else, but good market research is worth it. You just got to keep control of the pennies with it. I do have some standard templates for things that to get you going, which won't cost you anything, and you can put these as a survey to clients or customers when they've bought something. You don't need to stand there asking everybody questions. Having good customer surveys will also help you amass a database, because it is one thing that you need to have. I mean, a business is its database. So if you have a database and you can make notes of everybody and what it is that they come in for, what it is they buy, and what things they like, then you're really stepping towards the right things. I mean, I use I'm not selling Salesforce, but my CRM, client relationship management system, is Salesforce. It's a market leader, and basically you can set yourself tasks. You can give notes about each client, and if you attach that to a phone system, then every time somebody phones, it can come up with all these details. So it's worth looking at CRM. I mean, we are living in 2020, and we are going online, and we do need to automate a lot more. So do look at this type of software. If you want any help with Salesforce, I'm not a developer, I'm not a programmer, but I've been using it for about 8 years now, and I'm reasonably okay, know my way around it. So let's look at a customer satisfaction program, because I think we need to. Again, I've got all this in notes. I've got all this in a presentation, and anybody on our business development course will receive all this as part of their sort of coaching guides. So PowerPoint presentation, a couple of videos, and the full notes to this live chat will be available. And it will be on your way. Anybody that's not on the course, either join the course or just let me know if you want this stuff, and I'll send it to you as a standalone. But it's much better to do it, and we can discuss it in the groups. So 6 parts to a customer satisfaction program. Okay, who should be interviewed? So obviously it's the target market, it's the decision maker. I mean, I know that when my kids were little, I mean, they're not so little, but it doesn't change much. If I was in Tesco's with them, it wasn't me choosing what cereal they wanted or what little toy they wanted. It was them. So it'd be better to talk to the kids and know what it is they wanted, because the parents will just put anything that pleases the kids in the box. So who should be interviewed and what should be measured? So this is all part of finding out what the client is looking for. So what are the points that make that product desirable to them? There's lots of things here. I mean, how should they be interview carried out? Should we do it over the phone? Should we do it when they come in the shop? Should we do an automated email form? How should we do this? Should we just stick a paper receipt in the bag with these questions on it, or should we do it on a website that they can just go in and that can integrate in your systems? That's what I do. I do a bit of everything. And how should satisfaction be measured? So is it what the client does with the product? How many times they come and buy it? What it does for them? I mean, it's a good thing to know what your product does for people anyway, so you can see what they're using it for. I mean, you might be selling a hose pipe and people are buying it in droves because you think they're watering the garden. There might not be. But if you know what they're using it for, then you can obviously tailor your marketing and everything else towards that. What do the measurements mean? So then you've got to start deciphering them. And of course, how to use customer satisfaction study to greatest effect. So when you know what people like, you can suggest things more. You can do more of that. So some of the I mean, an example of a question is, what is your overall satisfaction with us limited? How likely or unlikely are you to buy from us again? I mean, these are questions you've heard loads of times, and they don't have to be worded like this. They can be variations, but that's what you want to know. Are you happy with us? Some people just say yeah because they're too polite to say no, and you can take the attitude, well, as long as they keep spending, that's okay. But maybe probe a little bit, maybe ask the questions in different ways. Are you really happy with us? And how likely would you be to recommend us to a friend? Well, I always say that people recommend us to their friends because they like their friends. So maybe it's the same with you. So let's just move on. The things that we're particularly interested in are things about the product. So you need feedback. You need to know how people perceive the quality of your product, how long the product's going to last for people, whether the design of the product or its function is more important. What's the quality like? Is it consistent quality? Now that applies to services as well. Range of products. So is one product enough, or are there add-ons or related products? And processability of the product. So is it worth processing? You know, how easy it is to get it out there. These are just some of the things that we should be looking at. I mean, when we talked about delivery, we're saying, what's your delivery like? Do you deliver on time? And what speed can you offer? Now, these days, delivery is important. What surprised me was that people pay extra for quicker delivery. I won't. I don't care if I get it next week or the week after. You know, when I was growing up, we used to see mail order, and it could take product delivery would be 30 to 60 days, and then 3 months later you'd get it. So, but these days people will pay a premium, and it's fine because there's loads of great delivery companies out there. You know, you don't have to get on your bike anymore and deliver it, but you know, it's out there. Now, the big one is to have a look at what staff, and by staff, if you don't employ anybody, have a look at you and treat yourself as if you're a member of staff. Do that. So, what's courtesy like? Is everybody friendly? Do you respond quickly to inquiries? Is there an after sales service? Does anyone phone and say, hi, how are you? How's the couch I just sold you? Is there any technical abilities? Is there any technical service, a helpline? I mean, one of the things, if I'm buying software at all anymore, then if they don't do a helpline, then I just don't want to know, because I'm just so bad at most things software. I get confused. I can't remember my passwords half the time. So you do want people looking after you. You know, if you have people looking after you, then you'll invest more and more. But that's one of the things that give customers a little bit of comfort, and it gives satisfaction. Is what's the backup service, and people will pay for that as well to a degree, but they will pay for it. So then looking at the company, which is often not you, but you need to take it as if it is you. So do you have a good reputation? How easy is it to do business with you? Because I know some people it's so difficult to do business with, whether you're the buyer or the seller. It's difficult. Getting your invoicing right, is it clear? Because a lot of people do lose sales because they don't have their invoicing or correct, so people don't read them properly or don't recognize them as invoices, and then any excuse not to pay. You know, make sure your payments in, because that itself can be annoying. I mean, we were trying to buy some software before, and there's something wrong with it because it won't take my debit card. Don't know why. You know, it served okay to get a takeaway the other night, but apparently the software couldn't accept it. And then make sure that obviously if the invoices are clear, they are going out on time. But you'd expect me to say that. So because it all shows a certain amount of efficiency, and some people value that, some people judge you on that. So now we're looking at your pricing. Is your pricing market value? Do people perceive it as value for money? And sometimes make it clear what the total cost of use is, because people might not be happy with that. They might buy something off you. And then I went into a furniture shop once. I ended up not buying the couch because I saw this sign in the window. I went in, it looked really good. The couch was it was quite good. It was quite reasonable. But then they wanted extra money for the casters. And then they wanted extra money to spray it with something. So if it didn't, if I spilt anything on it, and all these types of things I thought should be included in it. And the very fact that they wanted more money for casters on the bottom of the couch, it annoyed me to the point where it wasn't about the money. And even when they offered to throw it in, I decided not to do business with that firm because I'd lost faith in them. And after being married a couple of times, I've bought several couches. I wouldn't buy it off them. That's just one silly salesman and a silly marketing policy. So how should we measure? How should satisfaction be measured? Because customers express satisfaction in different ways, and they don't always know how to express themselves. When they are satisfied, they keep coming back, and they keep coming back, and they recommend people, and you don't notice it. But so we're not really looking at the people that are happy with your product and keep returning. We're looking at and we're not looking at the people that complain all the time and don't keep returning. We're looking at the people that could be perhaps undecided. And this is why it's so important to find out why people keep buying. Obviously, we start the list with things things you would expect, and then we start interviewing clients. But measuring satisfaction isn't the full story. So we need to also look at something called expectations. Otherwise, we could spend a lot of time and effort raising expectations and raising everything when the client doesn't really care. I mean, we always turn around and say, one of the jobs that we have is as a salesman is to manage the company's the client's expectations, because sometimes it's less than you think, but sometimes it's more than you think, because they might have got the wrong end of the stick of what it is you're actually supplying. Many people don't know or can't admit what's important about what they're buying. So it's like I said before about the Porsche. Do you really think that people are buying a Porsche because of its engineering excellence? They're probably not, but they wouldn't want to buy it to say, I'm buying it to impress the girls, or I'm buying it because it makes me feel young again, or it's like, hey, look at me, I've got a nice car. So often the reason that people give for buying your product in an interview aren't really the real reason why they buy things. So I'm not taking you down a psychological evaluation of everybody. And then people do change the views as well. And sometimes when you talk to people, that they start to listen to you, and they say, oh, that is a good idea. That's why a lot of these television network sales adverts, like QVC and whatever, they're really good, because sometimes I find myself watching them and I think, oh, that's rubbish, I can't be bothered with that. And then you hear them presenting, and as long as it doesn't get too American and corny, then they're telling you a bit more about the product. You know what, I could use that. So it's they're changing my perception of what the product is as well. So just remember, though, here we go. You can satisfy all the people some of the time, and some of the people all the time, but you can't satisfy all the people all the time. So should you even try? Well, this is why we're coming up to, we've done quite well, we're coming up to why we must segment our customer base. So it's no good trying to satisfy everybody, but then again, do we really aim our products at everybody? And if you do, and you're successful, you'll have to come and tell me how you do it. But most of the time, what we're looking at are segmenting audience to supply niche markets. And what is important is that we achieve a high rate of satisfaction in those markets. So you don't have to please everybody, you just have to please the people that you're targeting for your products. So it's very tempting, even me, when I come online and I'm doing talks, I'm thinking on the top of my head, oh, there's 50,000 people out there, there's 50 million people out there, and I'm talking to everybody, but I'm not. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you because you run a small business. So that immediately makes my interest value to a much, much smaller segment. And I'm talking to people that are interested, which a lot of people can't be bothered listening more. But here I am, all the time, day and night, telling you how to make your business better. Measuring satisfaction within a business must be a continuous process. And there's actually been a lot of research done into the links between customer satisfaction and employee satisfaction. So apparently, happy employees work harder and try harder, so create more satisfied customers. Well, I can see that, because I can see that when people working with me are happy and they know where they're going, and they've got faith in me, and they've got faith in the company, that and then they've got a nice work environment, then they do perform better, and it's without me having to scream at anyone. Or my manageress, Kirsty, doesn't have to scream at everyone, because I don't scream at anyone. Thanks, Kirsty, for that. So apparently happy employees do work harder, and they try harder, and they enjoy themselves more, and they're less likely to be off. So not only, maybe even look at employees, and maybe look at their attitude as well. Maybe do a survey with your employees, because after all, most of them are dealing with clients more than you are. And like I say, treat yourself as an employee in this role, and just go through maybe a satisfaction survey, maybe with staff first, before you even tackle clients, because they can help you ask the right questions as well, and they probably know more about the product than you do. But if you work on your own, consider how you feel when you're dealing with clients, and what makes you happy. The problem is that there could be quite a big gap between what you and your people think is doing a good job and keeping clients happy, and what clients actually believe is doing, is making them happy. And we don't want that. We don't want that gap to be too much, really. Now, just remember, it's great collecting all this data. But if you don't use it, then there's no point doing it. And sometimes by doing customer satisfaction surveys can be counterproductive if you don't act on it. So, for instance, you do these surveys with clients, and they're giving all this feedback, which is very nice of them, very helpful of them. And then what happens is you do nothing. You've raised the client's expectations, and then they're disappointed. So if you're not going to take action, then don't do it. It's like everything else. If you're going to do it properly. Don't let these surveys sit collecting dust. Because remember, collecting the data is a lot easier than actually acting on it. So you've got to collect the data, analyze it, see the weak points, address them. Don't forget to thank people for taking part in the surveys, and let them know what results have come from it. It doesn't have to be today, it could be as you take action, but do take action. Now, one of the things I enjoy doing is, if you collect the data, I will help you analyze it, and I'll help you put a costing together that will include the extra things you've got to do to keep clients happy. So create an action plan. You've got the data. We'll create an action plan, and the first thing to do is describe the problem. Describe the common threads of problems. Sometimes you get problems because one or two people are saying them. Sometimes you get problems because everybody's saying them. Sometimes the people that are saying them, but there's only a few of them saying it, it goes deeper. So do consider everything, and think through the issues that need to be addressed, and identify the root causes if you can. So what is causing this to happen? It's very easy for clients to complain when it's something that you didn't even know was happening. So it's no point fixing the complaint if you can't fix the problem. So you do need to know what the root of this is. It might just be somebody at the depot that you're using to deliver is not really delivering things properly. It might be because your labels aren't clear enough. We don't know, but this is why we need to look at that. And if you are going to put improvements in place, try and identify any barriers to stop you. So these might be your own psychological issues. It might be staff that aren't doing what they should be doing properly. It might just be that you're being put on the back burner with one of your suppliers that you're relying on to carry out the job that you're doing. It's also important, before you address any of these projects, to allocate a budget for it. So The budget might be £100, might be £20, it might be £10,000. But it's important to set up a budget, and that's true of everything you do. Look where you want to end up, and then we can work out what the costings are going to be. And of course, assign who's going to do this and give timescales. That's all tasks ever. And measure and review progress. That's also all tasks ever. So I hope if you've managed to listen to this bit or you've just tuned in, I hope you get the gist that looking after clients, looking after their needs and acting on their comments is going to bring in tremendous benefit. I mean, if you think about it, let's say that you're a service-based company and you've got 300 clients. If every client gave you a referral once a year, you double your business every year. So don't forget that. It's so much easier, and you've just got to tune in. Sometimes people don't like working on relationships; they'd just rather find someone new all the time. That happens. A lot of service suppliers do that. I think we call them solicitors. But you know, at the end of the day, the way you run the business is up to you. I'm just trying to help you make that business a little bit better. So let me ask you a couple of things. Finally, what is going to be your biggest challenge next week? We said, what was it last week? What's it going to be this week? That's something that Chair said to me this morning. I thought, yeah, he's got a point. So then you can start preparing for it. I do have pre-designed templates, as I said, and if you'd like them, just contact me as usual. And like I say, if you're already part of our mentoring groups, you'll automatically receive all this stuff. And that includes PowerPoints, video talks, and anything else. Now, if you'd like to address this again, or you'd like to ask me anything specific, do feel free to contact me, as always, or a member of my team. Incidentally, we've taken 2 new members of 2 new accountants on today. They're starting Monday. So anybody that we act for, you'll have 2 more people to help get your bookkeeping in order. So I'd like to thank everybody very much for joining me tonight. I apologise for the switch from Tuesdays to Thursdays and for the state of my hair. Hopefully next week everything will be back to normal. But see you next Thursday. Thank you. Take care.